Welcome to the Aura and Wellness Podcast. This is going to be my first video episode. I am recording on my iPhone 12, so bear with me as I'm figuring all this out. This is my first time trying to do a podcast visually as well as speaking. And I've had a podcast before, my previous podcast, which isn't available like anywhere, but it was B-Raw, the podcast. I actually wish I didn't take it down, but that's neither here nor there. So we're here now so I can do this episode. I just freshened up, got myself together. I actually feel better now that I actually did wash my face and my skin is glowing and my lips is moisturized. I got my water right here. So I need some water. So I feel much more prepared. I was definitely getting anxious, and ironically enough, this first episode is about overthinking creates anxiety and letting it go so we can flow. So thank you for tuning in. I am your host, Orabina, and today, like I said, we're going to be discussing how overthinking creates anxiety. We're going to be discussing what overthinking is and anxiety, and then tips and how to just become aware of it and release it. And it's not something necessary that we're going to get into it, but that's what it's about. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope that this touches and resonates with whoever it needs to resonate with. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first, what is overthinking? Overthinking is a habit of dwelling on negative thoughts and worries, often to the point of emotional exhaustion. So like for me, when I was overthinking about the podcast, I'm like getting fidgety. I was starting to feel my temperature rise within my body. And I just felt like my head, like things were clashing in my head. So it can cause a person to become stressed and anxious. And I know a lot of people experience anxiety. It is something that I don't feel like we can necessarily get rid of, but it is something that we can manage and reduce. So overthinking can oftentimes lead to, like I said, anxiety. It can lead to depression. It can lead to insomnia because you're just in your head thinking. So with insomnia, you might be up late thinking all night long about a million different things. And it kind of just builds up and creates fear and creates worry and creates a lot of resistance within your mind, body, and spirit. So then it all comes like out of alignment. And we want to do our best to bring ourselves back to the present moment and like ground ourselves so that we don't allow those thoughts to continue to ruminate and take control over ourselves. So that's what overthinking is in a nutshell. And we're going to get into, just like breaking everything down. So let's do that. So I think the most important step when we're trying to overcome overthinking and not allowing it to create anxiety or depression and lead to other things is we first just becoming aware of it. Awareness to me is key in a lot of things. I feel like once you become aware of it, you are able to recognize the signs and the signals of it, and then you're able to, okay, what do I need to do next to move forward? So awareness allows the opportunity for you to move forward. And there's different ways to become aware of the fact that you're overthinking. Just taking a deep breath is one of them. There is a fly flying around. It's outside of my control. What am I going to do? He's going to get got. But there's a few things you can do to, like I said, move forward, become aware, and like once you had that awareness, take the next steps to move forward. So like I said, breathing. So and right now we're just gonna take 3 full deep belly breaths. So Yes. So I needed that. Whew, that just felt amazing. Like I could feel that this really centered me back and grounded me, especially because the fly is flying around. And sometimes it's not as always simple as that, but that is a step that you can take to releasing the overthinkingness and allowing yourself, okay, let me just breathe. And if you could tell, it was tension leaving my body. My shoulders started to drop. I felt more relaxed within myself. My breathing deepened more and more with each breath. And that's just something you can be mindful of as you're breathing, as you're meditating. So obviously meditation is another way to reduce overthinking and help with anxiety. Yoga is also a great awareness practice for releasing it, because when we start to overthink and then it leads to these other things, it creates tension in our body, and then we store it in our body and hold it, and then now our chakras become, blocked in a way. And mainly the chakras that would become blocked would be like your root chakra, like your lower half. So your root chakra, your sacral, your solar plexus would be the ones that would be kind of targeted in that. And I feel like overthinking definitely impacts those lower chakras the most, because it starts from the ground up, and your root is the base, the foundation of everything. Your sacral and your solar plexus have a lot to do with just your creativity, being able to flow, and things of that nature. It's still a lot I'm learning, so of course feel free to like add on to that in the comments. I would love that. So just yoga is very helpful. I'm personally am about to get back into yoga. I think after I'm done this podcast, I'm going to do some yoga so I can continue to decompress and not feel stressed. I have a Virgo moon, so I'm not. I actually just saw TikTok and she was like, Virgos aren't necessarily like perfectionists. It's more so we have like this awareness of what needs to be done or what we would like to be done, and we are very like proactive in getting those things done. So it kind of like, I don't know, I just felt like adding that in. So it kind of like adds to the experience of overthinking, for me, for myself anyway. But I feel like no matter what your zodiac sign is or the placement, everyone experiences overthinking. And the goal is for us to, like I said, become aware of it so we can let it go and flow. So maybe yoga and meditation aren't, you've tried those and it just wasn't that beneficial to you. You could try dancing. You could literally try screaming, or shouting, jumping up and down. Like, that's a great exercise to practice. My partner actually was the one who taught me that, because you literally feel the tension leaving your body. You literally feel everything moving and being released from your body, and you're disrespectful, but it's okay. But it's great. I love doing that also to release anxiety and letting it go so I can flow. Okay. And like I said, it's normal to overthink. It's perfectly fine. Because it is part of our human experience. So I don't feel like we should necessarily bash it, just become aware of it. And like I said, move forward so we can let these feelings go and go on about our lives. And if those things don't help, then you can always talk to someone about it. If you have someone that you trust, a friend, anyone, you could talk to someone. Or if you need additional help, then of course you could seek therapy. You could seek counseling, things of those nature. But you do have the power to become aware of it on your own and take the steps in order to release it. One thing my partner said to me, like when we first met, he was like, baby steps make tremendous strides. And I love that quote. I love quoting him. I don't know if he got it from somewhere else, but I love saying that affirmation for real, because it's really true. And it really does help me to like take a step back and be like, you know what? One step at a time, one step at a time. And then the result of just taking my time will be tremendous. Like I said, magnificent. So it's great. So that's the first step, is let's become aware of it. Let's get into the second step. So in the second step, it kind of can be seen as the same thing as becoming aware of it, but it more so has to do with focusing on the present moment. So you become aware, and then the awareness will lead you to focusing on the present moment. So you may realize as you begin to become aware and you're focusing on the present moment, okay, what am I what's going on around me? What's my environment like? Who am I around? What people, things, places are actually causing me to overthink? And once you do that, you can take a step away from all of that and be like, okay, let me take a moment to myself. Let me remove myself from this moment so that I'm able to, again, recenter, take a deep breath, and be able to release the overthinkingness. When you also take the present moment to just be like, okay, what's going on, it allows you the opportunity to acknowledge the overthinking thoughts and also discredit them in a way so that you can challenge the negative thoughts and reduce their power, because we hold the power in our minds. We are very just powerful beings. So we don't have to allow the thoughts to consume us. So like I said with the podcast, I was overthinking. I'm worried about the setup. The one website I wanted to use for recording, which would have made it a whole lot easier on me, I tried it twice. The video was lagging, and I was really just like, oh my gosh, okay, sorry about that. My partner called me. Okay, I don't know where I left off at. We were talking about the present moment, obviously. I really don't know where I left off at. And I didn't announce it via YouTube. I am pregnant. So mom brain is super real, which that's a topic for another day, baby. So anywho, just to sum it all up, as far as coming to the present moment, acknowledging the negative thoughts, reducing the power that the thoughts have. It doesn't have to consume you. Like I keep saying, once you challenge it, you turn that negative to a positive, okay? And that's really just like the sum of it all, because you find solutions. You take that moment to become present. You already became aware of it. You become present. What are the solutions? What are you going to do? What can be done? So like I said, that's what I was saying. Like I said with the podcast I'm recording, my man calling me, freaking the website I wanted to use, it was lagging. That's what I was saying. And I tried it twice. The quality also wasn't that great in my opinion as far as recording. And I feel like a pretty, I don't know what year this laptop is, but it's an HP laptop. I do feel like it's pretty old. But I'm working with what I have. And when I did take the moment to just take a deep breath and come back, I'm just like, I'm doing the best with what I have. I don't need to stress myself out about it. And who knows, soon, maybe very soon, I'll be able to upgrade my equipment and have a better setup. So I'm just happy to be starting. I'm just happy to be here and be getting back into the flow and things and getting more comfortable with recording myself, hearing myself talk. I say a lot, so I was also paying attention to that as I was practicing, and I'm like, that's something I would like to work on. So it's just different things that, because I'm finding solutions and taking a deep breath and becoming aware, I'm like, okay, these are things to take note of. These are things that I can improve, and I am going to do that. So that's pretty much it about just the present moment, because by doing this, like I said, we're breaking the cycle. We're not going to complete this cycle. That's out. So let's get into what's next after that. So we became aware. After the awareness, we were able to focus on the present moment. So now we want to find some balance. Now the balance comes in, okay? Because that's a major game changer for managing overthinking and anxiety, is balance. So how are we going to find balance? How are we going to create balance for ourselves? For one, take your time for yourself. I am a big advocate for time alone. and solitude. Actually, when I gave myself, I try to give myself an oracle reading or a tarot reading every day just to practice, talk to my spirit guides, angels, and I pulled the solitude card twice. And I knew internally why. I knew that I need to be alone to focus on my dreams and aspirations, and also just any other important things that I need to focus on. And sometimes you really do need that alone time in order to focus on yourself and nothing outside of that. When you're alone, you're just able, it's just you. It's not anything else impacting you unless you have distractions, which you should be mindful of. I'm starting to be mindful of. I actually just purchased I'll show y'all. This is my new Kindle. I actually just got a Kindle so that I can be on my phone less and read more, because I really, really, really want to get back into reading. And I just feel like having my Kindle is going to help me so much. I didn't realize it was going to be this small, but it's okay. I didn't start reading anything yet. I honestly was downloading a bunch of books that I could for free because I'm on a budget, but it's okay. So I'm excited. I'm really excited about using my Kindle. So that kind of leads me into the next thing with finding balance is engaging in activities that bring you joy. Reading is something that brings me joy. I used to read books all the time when I was younger. And if I loved the book, I could read the book in a day. I would read a lot of books in a day because I enjoyed them and I didn't want to put the book down. So it would take me 1-2 days tops to read a book. And I want to get back into that. I've noticed that when I read now, I tend to get distracted or I skip over words or paragraphs. And then I have to go back and reread it again to make sure I understood or comprehended what I just read. And it's just something, like I said before, it's something that's on my list of things I can improve on, that I want to improve on. But reading brings me a lot of joy. Watching YouTube does bring me a lot of joy. So when I'm alone, I do like to watch YouTube. I'm the type of person who watches YouTube and puts them in my own little playlist so I can go back to and reference. Like I have a self-care playlist. I have a yoga playlist. I have a bunch of playlists because I like YouTube. I see YouTube as a tool. It can be a distraction if you allow it to be. So I would just be mindful of that. Like sometimes when I'm watching vlogs, I can find myself getting into comparison mode. And then that comparison mode does often lead to me overthinking sometimes, because now I'm like, oh, I should be doing this or I should be doing that. And that's not healthy. And I'm not a relationship that I want to have with YouTube, especially because I like it so much. Obviously, it's actually the irony of me even recording this video and my podcast for YouTube is interesting, because I said I wanted to get back on YouTube, but I thought it would be via blogging and all of those things. And maybe I will, but just me taking this step and doing it for my podcast feels a lot more like myself. It feels a lot more fulfilling. So I'm really grateful for that. I'm really grateful. And then let's see, like I was saying with finding balance, it's important that as we find balance, we create healthy boundaries and practice self-care. So there may be, like with the solitude and being alone, you may need to have an hour or two to yourself every day. Schedule it in, put it on your calendar, make it a non-negotiable, because that way you're holding yourself accountable and you're setting boundaries with people you may talk to or anything outside of you. It's a non-negotiable. That is your time. You need that time. You do whatever you please in that time, but that's for you. It can't nobody take that away from you. So that's key. That's a major game changer, and definitely something I want to implement more into my daily routine, which I feel like I have been just on my own. So, but scheduling it in, super helpful, because you might find joy in even doing yoga or having a quick workout. Schedule it in, put it on your calendar. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, you do yoga uninterrupted. This is your time to tap into your practice, deepen your practice with yoga. It's a non-negotiable. So that's on period. With self-care, you want to take the time to relax, decompress. My mom got me this facial steamer that actually my my little winky dink setup is on. But I do want to take time this weekend because I keep seeing for the past like 3-4 weekends, I'm going to do a facial steam. I'm going to do a facial steam. Going to do a facial steam. Have I done it yet? No, I haven't, because I keep putting it off. I don't want to keep doing that. I want to actually set aside the time, but I actually want to set aside the time to relax. So that's what I intend to do. So, as we find balance, we're practicing all these things like solitude, self-care, setting healthy boundaries. You're going to make mistakes along the way. There's going to be days where you may forget your alone time, or something may come up that's outside of your control. Don't beat yourself up about it. It's okay. We're human. We are going to make mistakes, but it's possible to move forward. You take note of it, of whatever it was, and find a solution. Hopefully there is a solution, and it should be. But you don't have to let that mistake be like, oh, I'm never taking time for myself again. Oh, I'm never going to set healthy boundaries. Oh, I'm never going to relax and practice self-care. No, we're not doing that. Those things are very important to your overall health and well-being. So we are definitely going to practice that. We are definitely going to do our best to show up for ourselves and make ourselves a priority. So those were like my main 3 tips to help overcome overthinking and not allowing it to create anxiety. I hope they're really helpful. I also wanted to add some spiritual tools that you can utilize that will help with reducing anxiety and preventing overthinking as much as we can. Burning sage and Palo Santo. It's different sages that you can use. White sage is one of them, but burning that can help. Burning incense can help. I actually burned some incense while I was setting up and getting ready to help me release. Journaling helps a lot with overthinking and anxiety. You may need to like write a list of like the things that you're overthinking about. Do it in a moment, and then okay, now you're reading it, pinpoint why, write out why you're overthinking this, what's causing you to overthinking this, what is the solution to whatever you are overthinking. So writing it out, journaling can help. Also with journaling, something that I've practiced before is doing a burn and release. I actually did this a while ago, and I first heard about it from Draka Gates, Kevin Gates' wife, and she would write out what she needed to write out, and then she would burn it. And then I started to practice that for a while, and it was very, very, very helpful. Just writing, pouring my heart out, and then not even having to feel the need to go back and reread it, and just burning it and watching it, that paper turn to ash. It was very therapeutic, honestly, for me. So you may want to try that. You want to do so safely, for sure. But it's definitely a nice practice, I would say, to have. Movement, like I said, so yoga, dancing, jumping up and down, shaking your body, like those things are great ways to help reduce anxiety and relieve overthinking. So you definitely can do that. And then the last thing, which I would like to offer you all, is prayer. Give it to God. Okay? Give it to God. So you might not want to necessarily write it out, but maybe just talk it out with God. Tell God what you're overthinking about and why you're overthinking about it, and why it's just weighing on you so much, and allow yourself to really give it to God. Trust that, everything is going to work out in your divine favor, because it will, So definitely wanted to leave you all with that. And I also wanted to pull an oracle card. So the deck we're going to use is the Wandering Heart deck. This deck is by Raina Biddy. She is one of my favorite authors. She has, I can't even think of the book she has, but I have all of her books. I think it's her most recent book I don't have, but Raina Biddy is an amazing, amazing, amazing author. I really love her ever since I discovered her, and I've been a supporter of hers ever since. And when she said she was coming out with this deck, I was like, oh my gosh. So we're gonna pull a card, and I will link this deck in the description. I do have an Amazon storefront, so it is linked already in there. And I just wanna pull a card. Angels, ancestors, spirit guides, I just would like to pull a card for overthinking and releasing anxiety. And the card that came out was Evil Eye. So evil eye is, I feel like oftentimes can be seen in a negative light, but I don't feel like it necessarily is. Evil eye is for protection. And you see this beautiful butterfly. My phone cut out because I ran out of storage. It's okay. But back to what I was saying. Evil eye, duality. It's really beautiful. So I'm just gonna read from the book deck, and just explain what it is. So she writes, as much as we all love to believe that there is no one out there who has our worst interest at heart, it simply isn't true. Someone could be paying someone could be paying too close attention to your every move right now, even if they aren't vocal about it, whether it be a stranger who follows you online or a person in close proximity to you. There are snakes hiding in the grass. So I did pull it upright, and there is different meanings when you're pulling a card upright and down. So, well, reversed. So upward, the card means you are spiritually covered. Animosity will not thrive here. However, take into account that you may not know your secret critic directly. And the secret critic could be yourself. And I feel like that's really the message here, is that you can be your worst critic. You can be the inner critic. And it's important, like I said, to be aware of that, but to also know that you're protected, and to also know that that energy does not have to thrive. And if you are being an inner critic, you have the power to cut that out. You have the power to end all of that. So like it says here, you are giving too many details publicly to hate on. Hold back. Think before speaking and do not overshare. Again, setting healthy boundaries. Don't self-deprecate. I have a habit of doing that, where I will get online, start to self-deprecate and beat myself up, and I'll do it publicly. And I know that for one puts out a negative energy about myself. And now people are receiving that negative energy and perceiving that negative energy. So you definitely just want to be more private. Like I said, solitude is definitely a major key, because you need to be able to have those moments to have a self-assessment and just be like, okay, what's going on? Why am I feeling this way? How can I choose not to feel this way? Like, and not even choose, I feel like a better word to use in this moment is, how can I transmute the energy? How can I transcend the energy? Because like I've been saying this whole time, you hold the power. So that's pretty much the sum of this podcast, the overall message that I'm not sure where I left off at. But just to close this out, I'm running out of storage on my phone, so that's why it kind of keeps breaking up at the end. But just to sum everything up, this episode was about overthinking, creating anxiety, and ways we can let it go so we can flow. I really hope that this podcast resonated. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Also subscribe to the podcast, which will also be linked. And thank you for tuning in to my first podcast. episode for Aura and Wellness, the podcast. So I appreciate you being here. Thank you for showing up with me.